Alright, so I've noticed that my subscribers really love some Sage Naruto, and who doesn't, you know? All from the abilities to the drip, Sage Naruto is him. So the past couple of Sage Naruto videos, y'all have been requesting more and more, so here we are today. I got my boy Virtue back today with me to do another Sage Naruto video. Say hi, everybody.
Yup, what's up? Yeah, we're back to talk about the GOAT form of Naruto and whatnot. You already know. You know what's up.
Funny enough, I used to have you on only Uchiha videos. Now I have you on only Sage Naruto. So, but yeah, like, you know, some of my subscribers had commented last time and they said they want some more Sage Naruto videos from us. So, you know, why not, you know? And on that note, some people have left some comments here or there on the past couple of Sage Naruto videos that I did, kind of not so much complaining, but they wanted to see something different when it comes to the Sage Naruto versus battle videos. And that is, when we pit Sage Naruto up against a certain opponent in versus battle videos, they wanted to have it to be where Naruto doesn't use the full arsenal. Somebody had said that, like, why give him the full arsenal of all the toads, Monpa, and each versus battle video, because they just accompanied him from Mount Miyaboku to the pain fight. So it's not technically, quote unquote, his arsenal. And while I kind of do disagree to an extent, I do get where they're coming from. So today, we're going to be pitting up Sage Naruto up against Itachi Uchiha. Now, this topic has been discussed here and there, but I wanted to do this in a different kind of scenario where Naruto is restricted in a couple rounds. We're doing 3 rounds, right? So Naruto will have some restrictions in each round going in, except for the last round. So the first round is going to be Sage Naruto, the one that fought Pain, without his toad summons, which is either Marpa or Gamabunta and any other bigger toads that he had with them. But Naruto will still have the 2 shadow clones backpacked at Mount Miyaboku for extra Sage Jutsu. Versus sick Itachi that fought Sasuke in mid Shippuden. So I think this makes it a little more interesting. Now, the benefit that Naruto will have going in here is that he will have intel on certain things like Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu. So that's going to be a big help here. Now, I want to emphasize that just because he has prior intel, it's not a guarantee that he's going to be able to avoid either jutsu. Like, any one of those jutsu are still liable to be landed. I think more so Tsukuyomi than Amaterasu, in my personal opinion. I think that the danger sense, Sage Sensory, will probably allow Naruto more often than not to be able to sense Amaterasu and potentially dodge it, especially considering the reaction time of Sage mode. So I think Tsukuyomi is probably the one that's, you know, more liable to land. And other than that, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know if I want to give because y'all can ask Virtue. I was kind of actually giving this more to Naruto, but the more we talked about it, the more I realized that, you know, I keep forgetting how busted Itachi's reaction time is while he's blind. For example, y'all know how much of a Kirin hype beast I am, and Virtue had to remind me and actually enlighten me as to, because I kind of forgot about this in the fight. Itachi blocked Kirin with one eye open, while that one eye was also losing its sight.
I want to go a little bit through the sequence of the fight before to give a little bit of extra context for what Itachi's doing. So if you actually look in their original you know, fight, when they're inside of the actual hideout, you see they go through this big shuriken clash at one another, except Itachi can basically like blitz him with a clone jutsu. And then you see later when Sasuke does the rig shuriken, Itachi realizes it's a rig shuriken and stares at it as it pierces through his entire leg. And this is, you know, I'm not going to try to, you know, sit here and pixel estimate this blade. This is like a 6-inch blade going through the back of like his hamstring all the way out through his quad, going through both sides. Then, so he's holding back already. And then we see Sasuke basically press him into the air with a fireball because he dodges it. Sasuke then goes for a Chidori, and he's able to somehow likely kick off of Sasuke, blast through the roof, and fire a fire style, forcing Sasuke into a curse mark state. So literally, he's on the worst position possible, forcing him into this curse mark state, this higher level state, just to compete. And then, how's he going to convince Sasuke that he's actually trying? He just spams his right eye really hard. And now the colored manga does not do this justice, so, you know, Lightning will show up the black and white manga and it'll be much clearer for you guys. But if you actually notice, Itachi is, after spraying the Amaterasu, and this is just before the Kirin, he then releases his hand off his right eye and opens his eye up, where it's completely fuzzy with no MS. And so this eye is already whited out and blind. And so he's blind, or then reacts to Kirin, which then basically blinds him again, which is why throughout the entire Orochimaru sequence, or whenever then the Susanoo, Itachi's like, well, this, judging by the feel of it, this feels like Orochimaru's Hydra. And it's like, you don't think he can see the ginormous, 50-foot Hydra, the ginormous white Hydra standing in front of him? It's like, no, judging by the feel of it. And even whenever he's fighting, we notice he doesn't even cut too much of the Hydra. Instead, he cuts it a few times, then he bashes it with the Yadamir, and only stabs Orochimaru once Orochimaru starts talking. And so it's like, now he's got his location, and he's got his eyes closed in the panel just before he stabs him anyway. As if to say, like, he's literally, like, having his eyes open isn't gonna help him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and if that's the case, I gotta be honest with you, I don't know if Naruto on his own has anything as fast as Kirin. Like, I know the Rasen Shuriken is faster than Naruto himself, who at this point he's got some speed to him, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I don't know if he's this fast. It's so crazy. Because, again, I was kind of giving it more to Sage Naruto because of the fact that Itachi is, near death right now. But I don't know, y'all. Like, Naruto might not have it yet. I will say this, though. We have to make some, half and half arguments here for people who are of certain opinion. And this is going to, play along to the next round, too, as well. But if you are of the opinion, for one, that the Yadamir isn't omnidirectional, then if Naruto can somehow find a way to get either to the side or on the back of the Susanoo and hit it with the Rasen Shuriken, then I mean, by all means, like, I can see a sick Itachi Susanoo getting broken through with a couple of those. Which by that point he would have to, get a couple more clones, or the clones that are backpacked at Mount Miyaboku. And the second thing I want to bring up is if you are also of the opinion that Sage Jutsu, and by extension in this case the Sage Rasen Shuriken, can break through the Yadamir, depending on how you want to interpret the Yadamir's description in the data book, as it is very similar to the true secret orbs that can be nullified or broken through using Sage Jutsu. Then it just depends on how much you think that sick Itachi's Yadamir can withstand, if you are of that opinion. Now, if you are of the opinion that one, the Yadamir is omnidirectional, then I don't think this makes much of a difference. If you are also the opinion that Sage Jutsu still doesn't work on the Yadamir because of the, if you are of the opinion that the Yadamir's, description isn't exactly like the true secret orbs that,
I'm a pretty firm believer in omnidirectional Yadamir. And one of the big reasons why pretty pro omnidirectional Yadamir is because if you actually look at the Itachi fight, right, we know that the Yadamir is able to go from about a third of the Susanoo to dwarfing the entire Susanoo, just whenever Itachi needs it to do so. And this really makes sense with the third data book's remarks of it stating a spirit weapon without a physical form with the power to change every one of its properties, allowing it to alter its attributes in accordance with the attributes of the attack, rendering the attack ineffective. And so here, you're literally seeing that the Yadamir is literally capable of just redefining itself. Hence why it's basically this non-physical, ethereal sort of weapon. And I think by virtue of it actually giving a method of this, for example, you'd have to concede that through this statement, due to it not being hyperbole and rather being a descriptive statement, it would have to be capable of blocking basically any attack, actually every attack, prior to this data book, or prior to the end of this data book, which is chapter 402, which would obviously include like Haku's ice mirrors, which are an omnidirectional attack that Itachi would have to be in the center of. And so Itachi would have to do that. And if you're like, well, Naruto can just blitz behind him, hit him with a big bolo, Rasen Shuriken, end the fight like that. You don't think Itachi could just like turn his shoulder? Like, you don't think he just turn around? Like, that's all he's got to do, because remember, the Susanoo can move in accordance to his will, right? And hence why Itachi can actually make the Susanoo autonomous and stand outside of it, etc. And so all he has to do is, for one, he can turn the Susanoo without turning his body, but if he wants, he can turn his body and the Susanoo will turn in correlation with his body. So I think that way, I don't think there's really any way Naruto could get around the Yadamir. And then with that, I suppose I should also note that Itachi holds the Susanoo up and it only dissipates after he falls dead. Like, he literally drops, then the Susanoo dissipates. So yeah, it's like, I think the Susanoo is just this monstrous ability. And plus, we've already talked about how, like, I think we could all agree both Naruto and Itachi are like these two high pressure fighters. Except the only thing is, Itachi can deal with like 9 Chidori, 2 Art of the Dragon Flame, Kirin, and he's able to do with all this. And even when Sasuke gets low, he's doing strings of bombs, and he fights Orochimaru's higher form, which is possibly an equivalent to Sage Mode. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much Itachi's able to do with this pressure, and it's like, so do you think Itachi's gonna sit there and just spam everything like he did against Sasuke? No, probably not. You know, it's like one of the most strategic fighters we've ever seen. And this is why we know that was such an out-of-character strat, because Obito states, if Itachi wanted you dead, you'd be dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's literally what he tells Sasuke. So, yeah, that'd probably be my main thoughts for the Yadamir in this match.
Well, and like to leave off on this round, I think that's something else we have to like discuss too, is that for one thing, like I mentioned earlier, just because Naruto has knowledge of Tsukuyomi doesn't mean he's going to completely avoid it. For example, the scene where Itachi gives Naruto the crow for Shisui and the Kodomatsu Kame and whatnot, Naruto, already knowing beforehand that Itachi is a Genjutsu specialist, still got caught in his Genjutsu. So like, it's not as if he's susceptible. It's not as if he's not susceptible to getting caught in Genjutsu, even if he has prior knowledge. And Sasuke himself, definitely knowing that Itachi has Tsukuyomi, still got caught himself. So just because you have prior knowledge doesn't mean you're guaranteed to not get caught in it. So for one thing, I'll say that. And the second thing I'll say, and this is probably going to apply more in the next round. As a matter of fact, we probably just go on to the next round because I think we've kind of made our point. I think Itachi still wins this one if Naruto doesn't have any other like thing in his arsenal besides, you know, the Sage, Rasen, Shuriken, and whatnot. So round 2 is going to be the same Naruto, the same Sage Naruto with 2 clones backpacked at Mount Miyoboku, but we're going to flip-flop this scenario. So there's going to be 2 rounds in this second round, I guess you could say. First round is Naruto with the bigger toad summons only. So Gamabunta and the other 2 that were with him versus a healthy Itachi, a healthy, alive Itachi. Now, what I'm going to say here is I just thought about this too. We know that Itachi is a very meticulous fighter. He's very, especially when he's like first fighting somebody, he's very defensive at first. Kind of like how Kakashi is when he kind of like fights somebody. He fights more defensively to figure out their abilities. And if Itachi knows and figures out that Naruto has Sage Mode, he's going to be how he was against Kabuto. Because he, like, unlike Sasuke, who was kind of sleeping on Kabuto during the beginning parts of their fight, Itachi wasn't really, not taking Kabuto as seriously as he should have. Like, Itachi was, by comparison, being more, skeptical of Kabuto's abilities. Even more so when he figured out that Kabuto had Sage Mode. So if he knows and figures out that Naruto has Sage Mode himself, he's going to be way more defensive and, on the start. So I know where am I getting at with this? Well, my thing is just because I just thought about this too, really. Like, yeah, Naruto has the 2 clones backpacked at Mount Miyoboku, but doesn't he have to like summon them with the scroll to do that? More often than not, like doesn't he have to like use the scroll that he has to summon them? I don't know if Itachi of all people is just gonna stand there and let it. And like I said, this might be more like this might be more useful in the last round, because if he has the bigger toe summons to to worry about, then they might be able to provide distractions enough to keep from using any of the 2 clones. But me and Virtue were talking about it. I don't know how long the toads are going to be on the field for, because they are target practice for Amaterasu or the Totsuka Blade. And so, I mean, I don't want to just sleep on them, but they might not be in this fight for too long, if I'm going to be honest with you. And like, with how close they're probably going to be with each other, Itachi could probably get all 3 of them with Amaterasu right off the bat.
Because even, we want to draw back to the sick fight. Itachi, most people don't know this, because you either have to concede 3 positions for how many Amaterasu he uses in the Sasuke fight. You can go with 7, 5, or 2. And I think 2 is by far really the only hardcore tenable position there. And the reason why is because, 2 sounds like it sucks. You also have to understand, he's literally, because we could tell how he uses it, right? So whenever he's using it, his pupil dilates in the MS, okay? And then so he holds this dilation open and sprays Amaterasu like a machine gun, right? And we know basically all the toads just sit on top of one another and right next to one another. So he could just go, just like that, and just get them all instantly, you know what I mean? And while I will say, like, I think Ma and Pa offer a bit of something better because, you know, they're smaller, they're going to be harder for Itachi to pinpoint with the Amaterasu, stuff like that. These are probably going to be excess fighters Itachi's going to have the incentive to get rid of at the start of the fight, right? And this is something, you know, you could even say Pain does, right? But I think trying to get these, you know, out of the fight as early as possible is going to be something he knows. So we're obviously already talking about a healthy Itachi, so we're not going to say his vision is just going to be absolutely terrible at the start of the fight, you know, much less even if it's going to be terrible at the very end of the fight, presuming this is a long, arduous battle. Why is he not just going to pinpoint both Ma and Paul and get rid of him instantly? He's not going to have to deal with it like how Pain did, where Pain's like, okay, he had to deal with their jutsu, so he had to deal with you know, Paul's like bladed jutsu that can like cut through the chameleon. He has to deal with, you know, the corrosive tongue of Ma and stuff, and he thinks their jutsu's fast and stuff. He really had to engage it, whereas Itachi doesn't. Itachi could just get rid of it and then fight Naruto, and then now has these absolutely monstrous physicals whilst alive. And we can get into a bit more about how he scales, because I think I'm of the interpretation, you don't have to hold lightning to this if y'all don't feel to. I'm of the interpretation that like alive, healthy Itachi is just above his Edo counterpart holistically in terms of physical stats.
Oh yeah.
And the reason why is because we've never seen a character, right? Itachi's supposedly this exception where, oh well, because of his illness, he's revived without his illness and he's totally good. But this doesn't make much sense, because anything, you know, what we know is they're revived based upon DNA that Kabuto gets. And like, for example, old Hiruzen is revived from his part 1 old self. He has all of his dead pigment cells, he has all of his old beard, the same amount of wrinkles, everything, you name it. And so to say that Itachi doesn't have it, and they're like, well, Itachi doesn't have blood, but it's like, well, he does. Like, it literally comes out in Amaterasu, so you're going to say like, well, he has aesthetic blood or something like that. You just get into you have to get into really weird, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's just for the sake of the effect. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you have to get into really, really weird territory to say that like Itachi is this weird exception when it's not. And think about it like this, they're like, well, Kabuto fixed his body up to not have the illness. It's like, so you think he fixed up Itachi to not have an illness and left Nagato unable to walk?
Yeah, for real.
And the man with the higher dojutsu left him literally crippled, can't even walk. Because, fun fact, Nagato does not walk throughout the entire fight. He stands in one position. The only time he moves is through his summon, so he literally cannot take a step. And he thinks, you know what, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to amplify Itachi. Oh, and then we also know he doesn't even know about Itachi's abilities. He thinks Itachi had like the reconnaissance sensory ability. He's like, no, that wasn't me, that was Nagato. So he doesn't even know like some of the basic stuff. So it's really weird to say he amps him. So I think Itachi scales above his Edo state, which means, you know, 3 Tomoe, he would be more than capable of boxing KCM1 Naruto. I think he certainly scales above EMS Sasuke, which is consistent with Sasuke being stated to basically only surpass his brother with the EMS. And we know Edo Itachi is basically an equal to that Sasuke there. And it's like, well, yes, there's also a statement of Sasuke surpasses his brother in ninjutsu and genjutsu and whatnot. Well, something you should probably like keep note of is whenever they're like combo attacking, Sasuke's using Enton Kagetsuchi and Itachi's combo attacking with that using just his Susanoo hand. So it's like his raw stats and stuff are basically able to make him like an equal fighter to EMS Sasuke. And I think that's probably something we should definitely note, you know.
Yeah, and so like one of the things I was talking about earlier is like, you know, if it's just like, it's so crazy to me. Like, so if Naruto has to rely on anything to say, and I think honestly the best chance that Itachi is going to have in this, or like not the best chance per se, but like what's probably likely going to happen, because again, if Naruto has to use the scroll to summon the clone from Mount Miyaboku, if it's the bigger toads that's on his team, then and they're already off the field, that might be the best chance Itachi has to end the fight right there. Because I don't think he's just going to stand there, right, and let Naruto, unless Naruto has like 1,000 shadow clones, you know, on the field, you know, distracting Itachi. I don't know if I can see Itachi just standing there stationary, letting Naruto summon another Sage clone. You might be able to argue the first time, because like he wouldn't know exactly what's going on yet. But as soon as he picks up on it the first time and sees it the first time, he's definitely going to be aware of it the second time. So, I don't know. And if he has Ma and Pa, then they might be able to add, you know, a lot more distraction because of how strong they are. And, you know, Frog Song. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Frog Song, we're of the opinion that, like, if Itachi's in the Susanoo while they use Frog Song, there's a really good chance that the Yadamir could block it. You know, it's one of those things like it's up to interpretation how you feel Frog Song can be applied to something like the Yadamir.
I think, yeah, because like most people are like, well, it's just sound, right? Yeah, it's not gonna block sound. Obviously, Itachi can still hear things, dude. Well, one, it's referencing attacks for what it nullifies, and so basic sound of trees rustling and people stepping is not an attack. But these ginormous sound waves that are visible and they're literally like 5 feet long, okay, and they're moving around corridors in the Jiraiya pain fight. Yeah, they're probably gonna be blocked. You know what I mean? These aren't just normal sound waves that, well, Itachi's hearing. It's like, well, yeah, he's hearing, but is he gonna hear this ginormous wave that's gonna come at him? You know, and it's like, well, could the Yadamir block sound? It can change every one of its properties, so I think it could, you know, probably. So I think, yeah, well, I think the Yadamir blocks it.
Just for the sake of reference, also, if y'all are of the opinion that, like, because there might be some people who will say that, well, Edo Itachi still got blocked by Kabuto's sound attack or whatever, but he wasn't using the Yadamir in that fight. Not in that moment, I don't think. He was literally... Well,
no, he wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
Jutsu also forced them out of Susanoo, by the way. Like, it forced the Sasuke out of it, and Itachi still had to, like, slightly put it up, but, like, he's basically in this excruciating, bone-rattling jutsu already. And people are like, you could just put up the Yadamir. It's like, yeah, easier said than done. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe, but...
Oh, but he had to wait till the tail end of when the jutsu was performed to protect Sasuke with his hand, so, I mean...
Good point.
So I think, yeah, a healthy Itachi, you know, and again, just to reiterate, if blind, near-death, one-eyed Itachi was fast enough to block Kirin, I don't see anything else in Naruto's arsenal is fast enough to do that. At least not you know, Sage Naruto's arsenal. Fast enough to do something like that. Yeah, Mom and Pop might be able to provide some decent support, but other than that, like first you said, like there's a really good chance, depending on where they are, that they might just be taken off the field with Amaterasu. But I don't know. The only other chance I could see it in this scenario is if you are the opinion of certain things like the Yadamir being omnidirectional, and you know the Senjutsu being able to affect the Yadamir. Because if you are the opinion that, you know, on Naruto's side, where it's not omnidirectional and it can be affected by Senjutsu, then maybe you can probably say that, you know, Ma and Pa or even the bigger toads might be able to distract Itachi, you know, in some way, and Naruto can get behind Itachi and hit him with the Rasen Shuriken and get rid of Susanoo. That's like the only thing I could really see in my opinion. So I think Itachi wins this one as well, as much as I'm sure I'm going to get flack for it. I know we're going to get flack for it. I know people are going to be thinking we're sleeping on Sage Naruto here, but...
Well, it's like, look, okay, if Sage Naruto is a stated equal fighter to end of Kage Summit Sasuke, and it's probably, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's referencing the ass Sasuke at the very end. I think it's talking probably about some hypothetical, healthier, stronger, you know, later amped Kage Summit Sasuke.
At worst, like, beginning Danzo fight Sasuke.
Right, yeah, perfect, yeah. And Itachi's just like an EMS Sasuke level fighter. You know what I mean? Like, he's literally an EMS Sasuke level fighter. And his Genjutsu is able to match, like, EMS Sasuke's. And then if you go back to the Kage Summit, you'll actually see that that Sasuke's Genjutsu is stated to be a far cry from Itachi's. You know what I mean? It's like, he's so inferior. And then you look at the fan book statement of Itachi's 6 Susanoo, so this would obviously correlate to Alive being the ultimate absolute defense. And this goes up to the Kage Summit. And an absolute defense is Neji's rotation, Gaara's sand, and Sasuke's Summit Susanoo. All are stated to be absolute defenses. Itachi has the ultimate absolute defense. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's constant implications throughout the summit that Itachi's way above him, and this is an equal fighter to Sage Naruto. And then we have more implications that, oh, it's consistent because Itachi can not only fight a higher form of Naruto in KCM, but he's also fighting EMS Sasuke. You know what I mean?
So also, I think something I thought about too, when people reference like Sasuke, you know, getting closer to Itachi by the time of the Kage Summit. And this might be my interpretation, but I'm starting to be of the interpretation that they're talking about Itachi present time, or like as present as they can get, like sick Itachi. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's actually fair, yeah. I think that's very fair, yeah.
So, you could say that Kage Summit Sasuke is getting to the level of someone like sick Itachi, but someone like a hypothetical peak healthy Itachi is way above that. Possible. I mean, right. I don't want to downplay Kage Summit Sasuke, but you get what I'm trying to say, though. So it's like, So yeah, I think we've skirted around this too long. So
Yeah.
our last round is going to be War Arc saves Naruto, and we can still give him, 2 clones, backpack, and Mount Miboku just for the sake of it. But that, so saves Naruto, full arsenal, full summons, all 3 toads plus Monpa versus Edo Itachi. How well does this one go?
Look, bro. Okay, you're like, while both of us are of the opinion that healthy, normal, alive Prime Itachi is physically stronger and faster than Edo Itachi. Edo Itachi is a better fighter than alive Itachi by quite a degree. I'm gonna be honest, because and you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense if he's lower physicals, and physicals were kind of what's defining him. Well, sure, I guess, but here's the thing you kind of have to understand. Itachi is really good at using his Edo body. Like, for example, he's like allowing himself to get cut through. He literally like heals through the most the most life-threatening injuries. Like, he has Kabuto's stalagmites pierced through basically all of his organs, his shoulder, his face. So literally half of his entire brain is like pierced through, and within a matter of a few pages, he's literally sitting there. He's like, oh, my bad, Sasuke. You know what I mean? So he's literally totally fine. And so he's able to spam these. You're like, well, why is he able to do that? And I know a lot of people have kind of strayed away from Kabuto's Edos having infinite chakra. And they're like, well, they obviously get fatigued. And then those same people will point to Orochimaru's Hokage Edos. But there's like, yes, the Madara statement doesn't really imply that they have infinite chakra. But if you look at other places, like Kakuzu's 4th data book file referencing his Edo self does state that he had infinite chakra in his reserves and whatnot. So this isn't to say that he could just sit there and big bolo a million spamming Amaterasu. No, he will run out, but he has an everlasting supply of chakra that'll flow back into his system through virtue of the Edo. And so I think he's a much better fighter, and he's able to just spam things. And he's able to spam the Susanoo more than he normally does, spam all of his abilities. And even while I think this is something a live Itachi could do, me and Lightning were talking about just how busted his Susanoo manipulation is by this point, right? So Itachi is able to, after Sasuke catches it, he's able to use a V1 ribcage, a V2 arm, and a V3 needle blade to literally like hold it to Kabuto's snake head, right? And the only time someone else does this to a similar degree while also using the V3 weapon is basically like Madara does it when he's alive, when he's revived and has the Renegon and Sage mode. He does it because he has an arm and he throws out one of his V3 blades, right? So it's like he's got this just stupid mastery of his Susanoo that he uses basically constantly, right? He is constantly like in the Susanoo as an Edo, and it's like, okay, so let's say he gets hit with Rasen Shuriken. Why won't he just Edo regen from it? You know what I mean? Like low key, why won't he just Edo regen from the Rasen Shuriken? As crazy as it sounds, he might just big bolo it. Oh, and that's if the Rasen Shuriken ever gets around the Susanoo. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, even, and I just thought about this too for this particular round. Like, even if we give Naruto the benefit of the doubt and say that he can hit Itachi, right? And it can do significant damage. Well, here's the kicker about all this. What's Naruto gonna do about the Edo, like, not being able to seal him? Like, that's another thing too. We kind of forget, and this might seem unfair now that I think about it, because like, if Naruto doesn't have a ceiling, what's he supposed to do? Like, maybe you might be able to say like, Ma and Pa, but with how ancient they are, they might have some ceiling ninjutsu in their repertoire, but like, I mean,
maybe we could say that, like, let's just say, like, let's give him the benefit and say like Naruto wins if he lands something like he takes off Itachi's head or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, something that like is like low key, just to kind of give him some advantage. And even then, like, let's say he moves, gets his arm cut off. I mean, he could just regen something like that. You know what I mean? Like, even if we're gonna say it's just fatal attacks, and then that's again if he gets hit. And I think the reason why I say he's a better fighter isn't just because he can take hits, it's because he just uses everything constantly. He uses like all of Itachi's crazy one-shot abilities he's known for. He's just got like standing by.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
so weird.
Well, like Virtue said, Itachi is very similar to how Minato and Tobirama were acting in the War Arc, because like Sasuke had to point out to Naruto, like, hey man, like, chill out. They're deliberately getting themselves hit so they could like figure out the abilities of their opponents and whatnot. So like, I feel like Itachi is going to be, like I said earlier, Itachi and Kakashi and Minato, they're very similar when it comes to being meticulous beforehand when they actually start fight. Like, they are defensive fighters first to see what their opponent's abilities are before they actually start fighting themselves. So I think Edo Itachi in particular is going to make definite use of his Edo regen. Especially considering that, again, Naruto, I feel like this is unfair because the more I think about it, it's like, but again, like you said, if we give a win con condition for Naruto and say that if he wins if he cuts his head off or something, like, I don't know, like if Itachi can, I don't know, if Itachi can do things like block Kirin and swap hands with KCM1 Naruto. Now, conversely, like, Naruto does have a pretty decent war arc feat, like I mentioned earlier to Virtue, is like he was able to dodge the third right Kage, at point blank. But I've kind of like backtracked on this feat a little bit lately, if only because Sage Naruto did have the knowledge going in about the third right Kage in particular. Like, Dodai like told him a lot of what he needed to know about the third right Kage, like his finger spear attack in particular. So like, Naruto kind of had already known a general gist of what was going to happen going in. Now, I'm not giving it 100% to say that like that's the only reason he was able to do that. I think, again, the fact that he went into Sage mode instead of KCM definitely speaks to the reaction time boost that he felt like Sage mode would have over KCM. But I don't know if that feat alone is going to help me sell a Sage Naruto victory here over Edo Itachi. Itachi wins all. Now, it's funny. The irony here is that I used to get a whole lot of crap for downplaying Itachi. Now I feel like I'm going to get a whole lot of crap for downplaying Sage Naruto. And
well, look, we're not downplaying. It's just like Sage Naruto is he's just not as on. He's not really. I'm not gonna say he's not on the same tier as Itachi, but
he definitely is. It's just like Itachi.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like, okay, Naruto would be the bottom of the tier, like the baseline of the tier. Itachi would be like the higher end of the tier.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? This makes sense because if Itachi's like this pain rival, right? Which I think is consistent.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like at least. I think people are gonna agree that Health Itachi for sure is like a pain rival.
Yeah, like, so he's a pain rival, and then pain is just stated to have power that exceeds Sage Naruto. Like, literally stated to have power that exceeds Sage Naruto, and this is after destroying the Leaf Village and being already deathly fatigued and having the Diva Path out of the fight.
Yeah.
Or having the Diva Path use all of his chakra for the chaotic Shinra Tensei. So I think like it's just hyper consistent for Itachi to be above Sage Naruto, and even to have a better stylistic match than Pain against Sage Naruto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, especially given the restrictions that we gave Naruto in the beginning few rounds, but that's why we wanted to give the third round where everyone's just like going all out. There's no restrictions like whatsoever.
Right,
so,
right.
But yeah, there's a video. Hope y'all did enjoy it. Thank you, Virtue, for being on the channel again.
Anytime, bro. Anytime. Let
us know in the comments below what other kind of Sage Naruto versus meta videos y'all want us to cover. We might look at them. We might cover them again. We got a couple more in the works here, but make sure you go subscribe to Virtue's channel if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Click the bell for more notifications. Until the next one, like you snow.